You guys, I was literally laughing before I clicked on here because I have like my little insulated TikTok cup, and the twins, they like to drink out of it like through the night or whenever. And I had to literally shake it to see if they hadn't left me on E. But I have water, so that's good. I hope everybody's doing well. I was moved to want to come on here and talk about this topic. I've mentioned self love on this channel a million times, but I don't think I've actually made a video. I have to say, I gotta look back. There's a lot of them. I'm sure I talk about it in one way or another and generally, but in this video, you guys, I'm going to give you some specific actions that you can take on your self love journey. And, whether you're already thriving in it now, maybe I'll add some new things to the mix for you. Or if you're in a situation where you might be starting from ground zero, maybe you were in a toxic or abusive relationship and you're trying to reconnect with yourself, and it's time for you to do this shadow work. And it's like, okay, well, what does self-love look like? What are the behaviors that, would serve me, and embracing that and increasing in that and staying in that, right? So let's go ahead and start talking about it. First, let's just talk about what self-love is. Um, Self-love is basically a psychological concept where you are embracing your self-respect, your self-value, your self-esteem, and your self-worth. All of these things affect how we show up in society, the types of things we allow or don't allow into our life, the strives that we make or don't make. So it's pretty much, it's subconsciously and consciously fueling our behaviors, our perceptions, and, the way we're showing up in the world. All right. So I came up with quite a few things, you guys, and I'm going to go ahead and start going down on the list of my suggestions to people that, want to stay in their self love. The first thing I have is basically to choose yourself, right? A lot of times, especially people who are relationship focused, especially external relationships, because the relationship with yourself is a relationship too. It's not one that gets acknowledged the way that it should be, but it is. So we have to definitely, first and foremost, decide to choose ourselves, all right? And live for yourself as well. People want to live for their kids, they want to live for their spouse, they want to live for a cause, they want to live for this and that. But first and foremost, choose yourself and live for yourself. All right. Now, once you're doing that, you guys, it's time to get to know yourself. And especially when you've abandoned yourself in a certain sense, when you were in, situations that weren't serving your higher self or your highest, greatest purpose, of course. It's time to tap back in and really get to know yourself, your likes and your dislikes. Understanding the self-awareness to know what your blind spots are. Like, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are my gifts? What are my desires? What are my needs? What are my wants? What are things that trigger me? All of this is powerful information because we're all onions, and we're not one-dimensional beings, right? So we have all these different things about us, and the more you know about it, the more you can, play up, of course, your strengths and slowly begin to improve upon the things like the blind spots, your weaknesses, your triggers. And then also evaluating the type of desires you have. Are they based in toxicity or not? And just be honest about it. This isn't making you a good or a bad person. We need to step out of that type of energy. We're trying to get honest to see, okay, what are my behaviors rooted in, and what might I need to renew my mind about, so that the type of desires I have are the kind that are going to serve me well, and my needs are what I think my needs are, and my wants are what I think my wants are. So it's just a lot of shadow work to be done here, and this would be a good time to get you a pen and a pad, or a beautiful notebook, and to start jotting these things down. And it's something that you can look back on too as you go through this self-love journey. But really, get intimate with yourself. A lot of people aren't as intimate with themselves as they may think they are, and they may not be paying attention to themselves as they should. So, embrace that and know that it's only going to make you a better person, not a perfect person, but a better person, right? All right. So the rest of these things on my list aren't in any particular order, but I do want to say, yeah, you got to choose yourself first, and knowing yourself, and beginning that relationship, that intimate relationship with yourself. I would put those more on the top of this list. Okay. So another thing you guys could be doing, of course, is knowing that you can and should keep something just for yourself. Especially if you're very empathic, and especially if you're female, because I know men listen to this channel as well. And then, you know what? I'm not going to say female either, because men are expected to be providers. So they're always sharing and giving, at least monetarily, but knowing that you can and should keep something just for yourself. It's okay. You don't have to share everything that you have. And I learned this as a mother. There were times when my boundaries with my children, I would buy a toy for myself. Yes, a cute toy. I like to collect cute little stuffed animals, and so do the twins, and they have way more than me. But sometimes I would get something just for myself, and it would only be a matter of a time before they're playing with it and ruining it and this and that. And then I was like, look here, it's okay. You can have a toy you don't have to share your toy with. And I know this is a very light example, you guys, but it's okay. You can have hobbies, you can have interests, you can have blocks of times that are just for you, and you have every right to do that. So, and I'm talking to a group of people that may have been in situations as children where they had to be people pleasers, and they carry that into adulthood, and there are some type of society standards where the more you're giving to others, you're just being seen as an even better person. And yes, you can give within limits, but it's okay to keep something for yourself, because what happens, we're getting drained. If you don't have boundaries about knowing how to stop at a certain point and knowing what should be kept just for you, you'll end up getting drained. You'll end up oversharing, overgiving, overextending. And this is the type of stuff that we want to get away from in our self-love journey. So I see one of my day ones are here, my Miracle 79, and she says, hi, everyone. Hi, sweetie, and welcome to the live chat. So yes, it's okay to have something just for yourself. It's okay. And don't feel guilty about it. It's okay. You give enough, I'm quite sure. So the next thing that I have on here is fuel your happiness where you can. Of course, we're all humans and we feel all the emotions of happiness. And especially if you're also on your self-love journey, healing from a toxic relationship, every day is not sunshine and lollipop, although we can wake up every day and have gratitude towards something, And I learned that from Oprah many years ago. And I'm not the biggest fan of Oprah, but, I can't say that there's any wisdom. There isn't wisdom or things that you can learn from someone that's successful in a certain way, right? But she keeps a gratitude journey, and she says each day she writes 5 things in them. So fuel your happiness where you can. And to me, a lot of times that happiness can start in having gratitude. If you're just focusing on what you don't have, what you don't like, and even if you do focus on these things, focus on them in a way where you're finding a solution rather than you're just wallowing in the negative emotions or feelings that are stemming up from it not being where you want it to be in this moment, right? So fuel your happiness and understand, of course, that's your responsibility. Don't hand that off to anyone, because that's the first place where we go wrong. If I'm in charge of it, at least, and I'm getting out of my shadow side in a good way, I'll know how to maintain it better than not, right? So feel your happiness, do things that will do that. To me, just going outside, period, and it is psychologically and scientifically proven, with the sun, them sun rays hitting me on a nice sunny day, that automatically makes me feel good. So if we go back to the second thing of knowing yourself, you know what actually makes you happy. To me, I like being out in nature. I like fresh air. I love grounding or walking on a fresh bed of grass. To me, even hugging my twin daughters, like the hormones that I release just from that, stuff like that, it really makes me happy. Thinking about the things that I have gratitude about, that makes me happy. Getting into my passion, like coming on the channel, that's something that I have for myself. I'm sharing it with whomever was divinely guided to cross my channel, of course, but that's something ultimately it makes me happy, to do this. So feel your happiness where you can. All right. And the next thing I have off of that is stop criticizing yourself so much. There's a difference between having the self-awareness and just flat out criticizing yourself. I'm sure some of you may have been in situations with negative people and that you were never good enough and they were just putting you down and criticizing you. That's not a positive energy per se. You need to be giving yourself grace. You need to be finding a way to give yourself forgiveness for the things that you can't change, or maybe the mindset that you were in when you were lesser evolved or a lesser version of yourself per se. And also understanding that no one's perfect. We have to let go of this concept of perfectionism and just embrace yourself as the imperfect human that you are. That's very important, you guys. Very important. The next thing I have on here is, of course, to smell the roses in life. Find a way to, and this can fuel your happiness, is learning how to smell roses, even if it's literal, because I love flowers. I buy myself flowers. You don't have to wait to just get them from a man for you women out there. Like, just, you should be treating yourself the way that you want others to be treating you already anyway. It's okay to buy yourself flowers. That doesn't make you corny or whatever, or to get into plants or to get into gardening or anything. But when I say smell the roses outside of a literal sense, it just means, find a way to enjoy life in any way that you can. And often the small things, at least for me, and big things, but a lot of small things bring me a lot of enjoyment. And this is also about, you guys, enjoying life at every stage, because I do feel like most people are so set on the end, like, yeah, the happiest day for college students, maybe it's when they graduate. But honestly, life is a classroom, and that journey that they went through to get to the graduation date is where the wisdom is, So, every situations that may not look pretty, or you might call it ugly stages and seasons, and when you're going through all these different changes and, to grow as a person or become more refined, learn to enjoy the process. Okay. Like, you shouldn't be, let's say you have a weight loss journey or you're getting more healthy. Enjoy the whole process. You shouldn't be miserable going to the gym. You're only going to be happy once you reach your goal. That's not how you're going to be fueling your happiness. So you have to learn how to accept yourself for where you are and just be satisfied with the fact that you do have this self-awareness. You do have these steps that you're setting, and you do have a plan or a solution, and you are doing your best and you are taking action. Like, what else do you want, right? So sometimes we're really hard on ourselves, and we don't need to be. And a lot of times we're not giving ourselves enough credit that we should be given as well. All right. And with that being said, the next thing that I wrote down was talking about getting enough rest. are basically just striving to be more balanced in life and learning how to say no as well. Getting that beauty sleep, that's what people call it, but that's showing kindness to your body that does so much for you each day, that's keeping you alive on this earth, right? So giving it its proper rest, giving it its proper fueling of food, minding your health, checking. Like, I'm very OCD about my health. Like, I'll go get some blood work done with my doctor, and I'll be like, can you check my vitamin levels? And am I doing good? And this and that. I'm very holistic in a certain way. So I'm constantly learning about how the vitamins interact with my body. And honestly, I find that when I'm very much regulated and getting the proper nutrition, I don't have certain cravings and different things, and I'm working out, it all just kind of works together. So just, learn about the human body and learn about your own body, because everybody's different. If you have food sensitivities, or, learn what adds to your body being happy and functioning at its best and what doesn't. And of course, embrace that. If you have unhealthy habits, you might want to revisit that, like smoking cigarettes and such, just, look into that, and don't limit yourself on being able to put down toxic behaviors. You can do anything you put your mind to, and you set a proper strategy for yourself, and not out of perfection, but knowing that you'll reach that goal, right? With that being said, you guys, if we're getting a proper rest, when we get up from that rest, we need to be setting a tone for each day. Every day when I wake up, you guys, before I even get out of my bed, I'm already thanking my maker for allowing me to see another day. And I'm just automatically waking up into that gratitude. I'm setting a tone for my day. I'm, speaking life into my life, which is one of the items that I have on here further down the list, but I'll probably say it again then, but it kind of matches with right now. But, set a tone for your day. Wake up and have the grace and the gratitude. Many have not been able to make it to the next day as you have. So that alone, puts you in good standing. So understand that. All right. The next thing, you guys, I have is about not living in fear. You don't want to have a life that's just necessarily rooted in fear. Usually it tends to stunt people unless it's on the opposite end. And even on the opposite end, it could create some anxiety. And when I say the opposite end, I mean, like, I have a fear of not reaching my goal or not reaching my fullest potential. I just don't believe in the fear energy, like running off of that being the best thing for anyone per se, because it tends to bring a lot of anxiety into the picture. It could, and devil's advocate, sometimes it could put a pep in someone's step. Like, let's say, a doctor tells you you need to do X, Y, and Z. And you have a fear of this happening if you don't make these changes. And maybe it could put a pep in your step. But ultimately, out of your self-love and self-preservation, you want to be making the changes. That's a better energy to work with than just out of fear, And sometimes fear can limit people because for some reason, some people are afraid of stepping out of, maybe the complacency that they've been used to. And that makes them not really tap into their actual true potential, and then, perhaps start making excuses for why they can and cannot do stuff. I remember when I was a blue collar worker, and I was speaking to a woman that was a little bit older than me, and she had limited herself to say that she could never go back to school and stuff until her kids were grown. I mean, luckily I wasn't influenced by her, because I went back to school with 3 small kids, and I still graduated with honors, cum laude, and I graduated early as well while working a full-time job. So right then and there, a lot of women, they limit themselves, especially after they have children. They feel like they can't do X, Y, and Z. But honey, when there is a will, there is a way. And if you're working with God and you're telling him and he's guiding you to do these things like he wants you to do it, he's going to make space at the table for you. He's going to open a door, a window. He's going to give you a sign. Like, it's, your life is not over just because you had children. You don't have to wait until they get grown to, to live your life. Because yes, you wear the hat of a mother, but you're still you as well. Being a mother, that's just one hat. And this isn't against anyone that's just saying, I just want to wear the mother hat for now. That's fine too. If God just called you to be a great stay-at-home mother and you're raising beautiful children that are going to come into society and you have a beautiful home, hey, that's fine too. Everyone knows in life, or they should tap in, and that's a part of number 2, know yourself, to whatever season or whatever the purpose God has over your life. Do you know how much time I spend at times watching on Instagram women who are just stay-at-home moms? And I'm not a stay-at-home mom, but I respect them. I learn cooking recipes from them. I learn about new cooking, cleaning products that they're using, because this is their whole, they spend a lot of their life doing this. So I learn stuff from them because I like to keep a nice home too. So everyone, there's honor in all work and for whatever you feel like, God is calling for you in that season or journey in your life. So I'm not putting I love the people that clean toilets in public places. Okay. Because number one, I don't even really like public restrooms, but when I go into one and it's clean, like somebody took pride in that, I'm very happy that they did. Okay. They made it very more comfortable for me, and that was their job and they did it with honor. So it's not about feeling like you have to just always be doing all this stuff. It's about knowing what you have to do for you and what you're called to do in your journey. All right. And with that being said, and this is all connecting pretty good, you should definitely be willing to invest in yourself and whatever that is, especially after you get to know yourself and you figure out these areas, that stuff that you enjoy or something you want to improve upon. Hold on, you guys. Let me close my door real quick. Stuff that fuels your happiness. I want to say maybe a year and a half ago, I took some sewing classes and they were on Sundays and they really fueled my happiness. And it also fueled my passion for sewing. That's just one example. And whatever it is, if you wanted to learn a new language, if you want to invest in yourself by creating a business, okay, it's whatever that investment into yourself, investing into your health, is always going to be great because that's how you continue to be able to have enough to give to others. A healthy person has good energy and, they'll be able to be productive to get to the end of stuff. They'll have the stamina, right? So it's never going to be bad investing into yourself. A lot of times we were used to always investing to others or taking energy that we needed for ourselves and oversharing and overgiving to other people. So there's nothing wrong with helping others, but make sure you're not tapping into the energy that you actually need for yourself, the resources that you actually need for yourself. Be honest about it. And you may not be able to help people as much as you think when you keep it real. So be honest about that. All right. The next thing I have you guys is be willing to walk away. Yeah, walk away from situations that don't serve you. Of course, that's going to be a part of self-love. Like, why would you want to stay? The older I get, nothing is worth my peace. I don't care who it is. It could be one of my children that I love dearly, that I have to put up a boundary with them. It just is what it is, because it's not about the love at that point. It's about the toxicity. And it doesn't mean that the love left because of that, So be willing to walk away, of course, from the things that don't serve you. Also, we're not going to be passing our responsibilities on to others. So whatever you're supposed to have ownership in over this life, which of course would be stuff like your self-respect, your self-value, your self-esteem, your self-worth. Like, no one's going to tell me what I'm worth. No one's responsible for that. You can't affect my self-esteem. And I've said it a million times on this channel. I don't care if the whole world is against me. I still love me. That's it. I don't need one other person in this earth to co-sign my value, because I don't get it from them. I get it from myself, and I connect to my source, which is my God. Okay. So with that being said, you guys, let's make sure we're not living in stagnation as well, because life really is about movement and living. And when I say that, I'm not talking about burning out, running yourself to the ground, but, you know, more so about like being stuck in the past, being stuck in a funk type of thing. And if you find yourself in these type of situations, then, you know, it's something that should be getting your attention, and that you should be getting to the root of, so that you can, you know, come up with some type of solution for that. All right. Because we're not going to live in the past. We're going to learn from it, which was my next one. We're not going to live in the past, but we're just going to learn from it. The next thing, you guys, is about not rushing yourself. So stop rushing yourself in life. And, you know, because a lot of times we would just want to get to the end of the journey, like I was talking about, versus smelling the roses, like we talked about, and enjoying ourselves on the journey and seeing the value in that. And a lot of times when we rush, we miss steps, and we don't see stuff, right? And the quality may not be as good. So don't feel like you have to rush in life. I spent this morning listening to some videos of older women on YouTube giving tips to younger women. And all of them were saying, stop rushing. Don't feel like you have to rush to be married. You have to rush to have kids. You got to rush for all these things. No, you don't. Let things happen in your divine timing, you know? And my favorite foods, they marinate. My favorite foods, slow cook. Usually it's not that rush fast food stuff. Okay. So sometimes the best things in life, it takes time, you know, to break down and to really get there. So stop feeling like you have to rush anything, because you don't. All right. The next thing I have, you guys, is to pray for yourself. And like I mentioned earlier a little bit, to continue to speak life into your life. Be careful what's coming out of your mouth in regards to yourself, period. You know, that's a big tip right there. Over the years, I have talked to you guys about a little bit like mirror work, and this isn't witchcraft, like just looking into a mirror and looking into your own eyes. It's a way for you to look into your own eyes and to tell yourself that you love yourself, that you're protecting yourself, that you are valued, and that you're never going to leave yourself. Like, it's, you know, it's an intimate moment, along with praying for yourself. You know, we're trained so much to pray for others, but pray for your safety as well. Pray for your guidance as well. For me, I consult with God over everything. You know, all the moves that I make, anything relevant, I'm doing it. If I'm asking him, hey, should I be friends with this person? Should I allow this person more access? You know, I'm constantly checking in that way. So pray for yourself, speak life into yourself. And you can do this even when you're not as confident about it. But psychologically, you're helping yourself by just proclaiming that and professing that over and over. It starts to plant a seed, and you're watering it every time that you are calling it over your life. And it's a very positive thing. You're actually pulling positive energy into the direction that you're speaking life into. Even if you're not energetically feeling it internally, but just by saying it, like, you're pulling in that energy. And it will be even more powerful when you actually feel it as well. And that's called annotations. When you say it with your heart, when you say it with your feeling and your might, and you're really feeling it in the bottom of your spirit, that makes it even more powerful. But we have to start somewhere, especially when we may not be in the best energy, you know, or we're recuperating from trauma and abuse. We have to start somewhere. All right. And with that being said, we're definitely not going to be limiting ourselves in our reach, or basically putting yourself in a box. You know, whatever it is that you feel called to do, you can do that. You can do that with proper steps, proper planning, proper actions, proper research. So don't limit yourself in life. You know, assuming, like, let's say you live a long life, you can do so much. You can have different seasons. And that season I was this, and then I transitioned into that. You can do that. Hold on a minute, you guys. It's during the day, and the twins, they are just, they're starting out. So the next thing I have, you guys, is look out for your safety, right? A lot of times we might be one-dimensional with this and think protection is only going to come from our father, our brother, or, like the men in our family, our husband, our boyfriend, or dare I say the police. That's iffy. But, you can look out for your own safety and your own self-preservation. And along with this, we can put in like reparenting yourself or mothering yourself or even fathering yourself. Like, just because you didn't have it as a child, it doesn't mean that you can't begin to have it as an adult. There's a lot of books on this. Where's the one that I was reading about it? Well, this one's called Codependent No More. Let me see. My bookshelf is right here. Codependent No More by Melody Beadle. Beattie. And I should, you know what, you guys, I should do a live chat on books that I've read that were like really helpful in my emotional maturity and, me being a psychology junkie and all that. That would be really good to do. So I'll make note of that. But that was a good book, Codependent No More. That was a good one. But yeah, looking out for your safety, not putting yourself in a vulnerable place or exploiting your own self or helping other people to do that to you. Because sometimes, that can be the case. We can be helping other people to do that to us, when we don't know any better. So, and with that being said, we're definitely going to be knowing what healthy boundaries are. And a healthy boundary right off the rip can be, I'm only going to participate in healthy relationships or healthy connections. I'm going to let go of the ones that aren't. So setting healthy boundaries for yourself, that's going to be important. And honoring your essence is as well, because that's what's next on my list. Knowing how to honor your essence. And that's basically just doing things that make you feel whole, doing things that actually pleases your soul, not bruises it. You want to please your spirit, not bruise it. So just that's about honoring your essence. Okay. Oftentimes we've all been through enough as it is. So we go back to number 2, knowing ourselves. And particularly for those of you who come from a very extensive past with lots of abuse, you that much more than the people that may not have experienced so much of it. You need to strengthen that the most, you need to strengthen it the most. And you can. And as far as the safety and protecting yourself that I said 2 bulletin points ago, for those of you who have especially experienced a lot of trauma and abuse through others, you need to be that much more diligent about it. And does that mean that you need to isolate yourself? You need to live in a bubble? You need to walk around with fear every time a person says hello to you? No, but it means that you have enough emotional maturity to trust yourself to make the right decisions that won't be putting you in vulnerable positions, that you won't be helping people to exploit you. Or you'll know enough red flags, you'll know enough to step away from a situation or to continue, obviously, to walk into it for your safety and self-preservation. That's what it means. It doesn't mean that you know everything. It just means you know enough. You can trust yourself to say, this isn't going to work for me, or this isn't good for me. You'll know how to back out of or not even begin that situation to begin with. You can start trusting yourself with that. And the way that you build trust with yourself is just like how you're building trust with other people, is through action. So the more that you actually see yourself protecting yourself and working out of the self-preservation, you're going to start getting more confident in your ability to do that, and it might start with smaller things than greater things. Let's say someone hits you up around your birthday and you save money to do this stuff for you to celebrate your birthday, and they want to borrow money from you, and you would have to completely abandon yourself and the celebrations that you set up for yourself and take money out of that to help them. So out of the self-love for yourself, you'll decline that. You're going to show up for yourself because you won't even see that as money that you can dip into. You'll start becoming that way, like really knowing the resources you have to give to someone versus what you don't, or even, on a dating scene, just where you're meeting people, how you're meeting people. Like, no, I'm not going to just run and meet someone into their home for a first date. Like, it's certain things that you just won't do out of your safety and preservation. And then when you're talking to people and they're telling you all you really need to know to put the distance or disconnect or not, to see the danger of this type of relationship, or they're fitting a profile of the people that were abusing you in the past, you're going to pass the test now. I don't have to complete that cycle. Don't feel bad that that person wants you, because if you're in a healthy position, everybody wants something shiny, whether they deserve it or not. The scumbags and the good people and everything in between. So they're going to gravitate towards you. So you're never going to necessarily stop attracting narcissists and toxic people. And especially as you get a glow up and start improving yourself, they're really going to want you that much more. So you're going to get tested time and time again. But because you've been there and you've done that and you took your lessons, or enough, they won't be able to get far. They won't be able to penetrate. That's the beauty of it. So that's important. Honoring your essence, having those healthy boundaries, and protecting yourself. So the last thing I have here on the list, you guys, is, and this is creating personal self-love habits, and the very vague general ones that people do is stuff like dating themselves, or journaling, putting time into learning how to self-soothe and have stress management. That's not causing, not doing it out of your toxicity. So if I stop drinking, I'm not going to become a weed head. Or if I stop being addicted to one thing, I'm not going to get addicted to something else per se. So in a negative sense, and then just renewing our mind, of course. So you can personalize, of course, these, when you're creating your personal self-love habits, you can personalize it to you as you get further into it. And you could just go back and start adding to the list. You can literally research it online. Google is your friend. But increasing your self-love, you guys, is basically a fundamental, human component to fueling your happiness. Something that I said in the beginning of the list. So that's what I have, you guys. Of course, there's more things, respecting your body, of course. Respecting yourself, period, of course, and only allowing other people around you that do. But that's a part of what can that fit under the healthy boundaries, So anything else I could really say could, chances are, fit under something that I've already said. But it just starts with choosing yourself, and that's a beautiful thing when you can. And don't feel like because you choose yourself that you can't choose others. Because if you're choosing another healthy person, You won't have to abandon yourself to choose them, right? You're not going to have to abandon yourself to choose. If I have to abandon myself to be with you, what type of deal is that? And how is that serving my life? Okay, you're definitely getting the short end of a stick, and that's being gracious at that point. All right, so at this point, I'm going to leave the live chat open. If anyone wants to add any comments here, or you want to ask me any questions, I'm more than willing to give you some advice, to help you through a situation, to provide some clarity to you. Or if you want to share some good news, you can always do that. Other than that, you guys, I do have my website up still, LakiaCrawford.com. I've been doing coaching since 2017, and I've coached people on every continent. And, you know, I'm a quiet person. I have worked behind the scenes and have helped many people through reconnecting with themselves, doing the shadow work, healing inner childhood wounds, definitely recovering from narcissistic abuse, and even, you know, professional situations for people who were increasing their emotional maturity or maybe operating more out of emotions than logic at certain times. Okay. So you can definitely seek me out there if you want personal one-on-one. I do have an email address, coachlakia@gmail.com. I've had it since I've started this channel, you guys. If you're too bashful to make a comment here on the live in front of everyone else, you can email me privately as well. Okay? So I'll give it a moment. I'm feeling really good. Personally, I feel really good about my self-love and my self-care. But because I have come from a past where I've experienced so much abuse, it is something that I'm constantly and consistently mindful about. And that's okay. And that's okay. You'll find once you get to know yourself and you know your triggers, you know what you need to be doing. I need to always be making sure that I'm walking in my self-love, you know, because X amount of years of me not choosing myself per se and always putting others first and this and that. But if you know yourself well enough for that, no one else can really exploit you for it because you already know, you know, something that you're strengthening within yourself. And then that doesn't have to be a blind spot anymore. I wouldn't call it a blind spot at that point. So. Okay. Well, I don't see any messages popping up. I don't see any words here. And with that being said, you guys, I guess I will go ahead and end this live chat. You can always suggest topics that you would like for me to speak on. I was going through my topics earlier to see what I would even speak on today because I always keep a running list of topics and I'll be, you know, jotting notes down to them. And then, you know, I'll divinely know when I should speak on it and I just go for it at that point. All right. Well, I hope that this live chat has helped somebody. You can always go back and listen to the replay if you're just entering. I love you guys. You better love yourself, okay? And continue to do the work and make these investments in yourself. All right. And until next time, you guys, take care, and I will see you in the next live chat.